And welcome everybody to our weekly Inside Scoop brought to you by Perry's. Along with Coach Babers, I'm Matt Park. Great to have you with us as the Orange are home again. Pittsburgh this time, second ACC Dome game, second consecutive weeknight game, Coach. And this is where you benefit from what we call the showcase, right? And so a lot of people, for better or for worse, saw the NC State loss Thursday night, and there'll be a lot of eyeballs on this one too.
Again, we get an opportunity to be a lot better, obviously, and we've got a lot of room to get better. And we're excited to be in front of the entire country again.
Yeah, it's a Friday night game where, as you say, coaches and teams that are traveling elsewhere around the country, just part of the routine as they flip this one on as they're getting ready.
There's no doubt, and everyone watches, whether the volume is up or down, you'll have eyes on this.
And it figures to be not only good television, but great programming inside the Dome as well, because it's no fluke. You look over the long haul, this is a series that dates back to the 50s, and when Syracuse and Pittsburgh match up, similar programs, similar coaching backgrounds, similar types of recruits, and the games are close.
Yeah, all the kids know each other. The coaches know each other. The kids know each other. The game is going to be close. The records don't matter. And you normally have a physical contest.
Do you expect that this time? We can talk about Pittsburgh, some of their X and O changes, but certainly both programs know there's a lot on the line here and big opportunity.
There's no doubt, but I don't know how you can play this game without it being physical. Mm-hmm. The recruiting battles, the high school kids all knowing each other and want to one-up each other, and the coaches, basically kind of growing up with each other.
Sure. Both teams have the wear and tear that half a season would show to this point. I thought it was interesting to see Coach Narduzzi of Pittsburgh comment this week, well, we expect to have Andre Cisco back. You would say the same thing if Pitt had an injured player, that you always prepare for them to be at their full complement. What is the reality related to your injured players? Any more news this week?
Really, no new news. Every time I get excited that we're going to get someone back, it turns into a downer. So I'm going to try to stay on the low end, and maybe I'll get a surprise. Maybe I'll get a trick or treat. How about that for October?
Okay. What are you addressing, Coach, in this practice week in terms of, we can get into the defense as well, but the offense has not been effective enough so far in conference games?
The biggest thing is we need to get better. We've got young people making mistakes, and young people are going to make mistakes. But we really need our veteran players to lead, and we need them to not only lead in the practice field, they need to be the guys that we go to on game day, and they need to step up.
Part of what we're seeing here, when you have a sophomore quarterback by position is a leader on the team, but if he doesn't have quite the experience, it's hard to kind of be the one that's out there barking, and you want to have the success. So where is Tommy DeVito in I think one of the things we're watching is his learning the decision-making process, when to discard, when to extend the play. How's he getting better in that regard?
Well, I think he's getting extremely better. I think he's ranked like third in the conference or something to that effect. From a statistical standpoint, he's exactly where we want. But once again, we're a racing car, and we want to be aggressive. And in being aggressive, we normally don't have the issue of not scoring enough points, or definitely not having enough shots to try to hit that ball over the fence, so to speak. We're swinging for the fence, and if it's a double or a single, that's great, but we're trying to hit home runs. We need to do a better job of getting that ball down there, and not just him, the other guys around him, where we get those guys in space and they have an opportunity to make a play.
So make big plays and finish drives. There's a lot more important things to worry about, Coach, but someday I'm going to start the campaign so that in college football, sack yardage doesn't count as rushing yard. I don't understand how that ever started or why it works. It makes your rushing numbers look not good. And I know you haven't been as effective as you'd like to be running the football, but how do you evaluate that aspect of your team?
Well, first of all, we're still young. We've got 3 new starters on the offensive line. That's not an excuse. That's what we have. And until those guys become sophomores, I'm not talking about next year. I would like, even though they're freshmen, they can become sophomores this year by the way they improve their play. And that's what I mean about getting better. Those guys getting better are going to allow us to unleash what we've got, which I really believe is one of the better running backs group that we've had since we've been here. But I don't have anything on paper to prove it, just by what they do in practice and what I think they're capable of doing in the game. So we need to get better, no doubt, up front. And we need to find a way to, if we can't run it the old-fashioned way, then we need to find a way to trick them and run it, because it's not fair just to throw the ball every single snap. That's not very conducive to winning.
Game management will be interesting in this particular game, and really for every game the rest of the way, because we know how close they're going to be. It's hard to run the football when you're trailing. Both teams really like their pass rush, and you want to set them loose from an advantageous winning position, right? So first team to score in this one takes the upper hand.
There's no doubt. First team that scores might win. It might be a make-it-take-it type situation, that's for sure.
There really haven't been lead changes in Syracuse football games this year, right? Is your team prepared for, obviously they've seen some sort of adversity, but for the idea that you might be in a back and forth? You know, the crazy game at Heinz Field a couple years ago was as back and forth as it's going to ever get.
And that was with our backup quarterback,
right,
because
Zach
our starting
Mahoney,
quarterback couldn't play that game. You know, I just think in these type situations, and especially where we're at as a football team, you really need to focus on the little things, and the big things will happen. The offense is called aggressively. The defense is called aggressively. You need to do your job, and don't worry about doing someone else's job. If your job is done, then go help. And that's what football is. I've done my job. The ball's not coming here on defense. Now I can go chase it, and I can go help. Or I've done my job on offense. My guy's not coming. Let me go find somebody else to go block. Let me go help. But you've got to do your job first, and I think that's where we've been misfiring, especially on the offense side.
Well, Brian Ward, your defensive coordinator, says do your 1/11th. And I like the idea that once yours is done, maybe you can pitch in around the kitchen. We'll see how that works out. Speaking of the kitchen, we've got our fan question. Coach, we'll wrap with this from Perry's. Bill in DeRuyter writes in, and Bill says, Coach, how do you cut down on the penalties?
Well, I think the first thing is you need to address them, and we definitely addressed them in a great detail by name in front of the entire family. And then what we did is every penalty that happened that we feel is controllable, we recreated that in practice this week. So we recreated the defensive lineman echoing our call or trying to get us to jump off sides by saying the same thing that we said, which is basically illegal. But we tried it anyway because maybe something like that's been going on, and those young kids are moving when they shouldn't be moving. And we're not going to make excuses about it. Again, we're going to get better, and as they grow, they'll figure it out. I've got to talk to you about penalties. I'm going to switch it to you one time, though. There's a great shot last year on Aaron Service, one of our best offensive linemen, against Chubb from NC State last year, and where Chubb did something. I think he punched Eric Dungy, and Service pulled him off so that he couldn't punch Eric Dungy. And then after Service pulled him off, he let him go, and then Chubb did the Lottie Diva flop like he had got punched, and the official threw a 15-yard penalty on us. That was 2 years ago. 2 years ago at NC State, and it cost us from getting a touchdown. And I remember Service came in and says, Coach, what do you want me to do right there? I said, Service, I want you to do exactly what you did, but don't get fooled by an upperclassman by letting them do something like that. And that is the reason I tell you the long story is our offensive linemen are growing, and they're learning the little tricks of the trade, some of the things that guys can do to cause penalties, and they have to get over that and put their big boy pants on.
So a little international soccer meets ACC football there as well. All right, Coach, thanks for the candor as always. Best of luck on Friday night, okay?
Thanks, Matt.
All right, you can submit your question for Coach Babers at cuse.com/inside scoop. And if you want to find out more about Perry's great products, including their ice cream delivery, someday we're going to have it delivered right here during the show. Looking forward to that. That is at perrysicecream.com. Thanks for watching.